You're in really big trouble because you did steal my bag and you did take what was supposed to be investigative material and things connected. Not only, by the way, let me just say, the initial bag, the one you're drawing on right now, was not just related to investigations into criminal activity. It was also supposed to be for industrial security, which is why, hello, you see that? You see that over there? That's why I sought professional training, because I already knew somebody was trying to extort me into agreeing to cooperate with things that needed to have professional training in order to do safely. And I wasn't going to even think about it without having an acknowledgement that I was trying to do it safely. So you took my 300 and you tried to launder it, you tried to flip it through the cops. Apparently, something happened, didn't it? Did your fraternal order say, yo, you guys got us in too far? And by the way, we're not going to cover you on this? That's what happened, huh? That's what happened. Because, see, what happened was you took that gold, you took my golden 300, and you tried to use it for your cop fest. You tried to flip it for cops. And then you put the cops in the counterparty swap out so that the protesters would be able to liquidate assets for the police to be recirculated through the city council to make their way back to the people in your network that want to front as if they're some sort of organized labor, right? But you guys refuse to deal with the electronic sexual exploitation that happened when I tried to get a job. And then I wasn't able to get the job because despite the fact that your electronic equipment worked, apparently, I didn't fill my quota. So you let the younger people that nobody's ever told were not in any way, shape, or form expected or required to allow for consideration of their demonstrations of loyalty on command in acts of illegal coinage to be made a factor for consideration in their financial performance capabilities while they were filling quotas on the job associated with organizing the community for healthcare. So apparently you've gotten in some sort of situation and you want to threaten. You've eliminated somebody's bloodline based upon their focus in terms of their academic pursuits. What was my original academic pursuit? Anybody remember? I wanted to study physics. I wanted to study nuclear physics, maybe for a year, 2 years, and then maybe transfer to the Naval Academy. I thought it might be logical. Spend a year, 2 years at a private university that happened to have the first major program connected to research and development regarding nuclear energy, as well as very important matters related to nuclear security in terms of national defense. But I didn't sleep with my teacher, so I wasn't able to study physics. I didn't sleep with my teacher before the school even started. And nobody would support me when I said that the guy who was going to be the teacher for the department got mad and threw out everything in my life because I didn't want to have sex with him. Okay, so what did I study instead? What was my second option? Before Yiddish, right? Okay. All right. The first general strike in the United States occurred in Philadelphia in 1835. Now, at the time I originally acquired this information, which was via access to the the public library in Chicago, Illinois, which was actually at the Harold Washington Library in downtown Chicago. The information discussed how there were 300 coal workers that went on a general strike. The 300 of them were the ones that started the general strike in the city of Philadelphia. And within a very short amount of time, it galvanized the city. And other work sectors joined them very quickly. And there were even small businesses and artisan businesses that would have been considered a part of another kind of organized labor model, one that predated the formal system we have now of unions, that agreed with their demands, which were primarily first for a 10-hour workday and at least 1 day a week off. And their demands were limit the time we have to work per day to 10 hours, and we have to have at least 1 day a week off for ourselves. They went on a general strike, and within, my understanding is that originally it was within a very short period of time. I believe 10 days. Within 10 days, they had succeeded in their general strike of getting the city to yield to their demands and the people locally to yield to their demands to support a 10-hour day. And within a year, there was federal legislation passed, which was actually the first wage labor law in the United States regarding capping or a 10-hour workday with at least 1 day a week off. Now, the currently available information that's online, so the information I found before I saw online, but it was actually a PDF of a photographic representation of the original publication the notice had been published in, and there was other websites that had the transcription of the text with a thumbnail picture of the reference, the primary reference for the periodical that published this information at the time. And that was the characterization it had at the time. There is something right now, the Encyclopedia of Greater Philadelphia. I have not seen this before, but it has a reference to, it says the General Trades Union Strike of 1835 by Patrick Grubbs. Now, I'm not familiar with this, but the manner in which it's presenting the information is relatively comparable to what I remember. Now, I wrote the information in a book, a notebook that was stolen in a backpack that I had that had all kinds of notes I still had left over from my research in Chicago that was stolen in Houston before I was kidnapped in March of 2017. And in that backpack was, among other things, I believe it was on a notepad. And that notepad had a variety of different kinds of information, including research I had done into Hurricane Mitch, right? And somebody wants that reference right now, don't you? But the problem is, you've spent several years trying to transpose that in the manner I just discussed. First, you wanted me to deal with workers' rights regarding police officers by agreeing to be some sort of off-the-books undercover narco, right? Without getting any verification that I had any authorization to do any undercover work, which also meant kickbacks to actual literal police on the street as my fulfillment of expectation of performance that somehow was going to get to the big people in political office that were supposed to get credited for the fact that I had been a good girl. And then later I was supposed to understand I was supposed to take the hit personally so that they could knock me down as the cop, as a means by which to get justice for people who had been exposed to police brutality. But during this whole time frame, nobody wanted to talk about the bonds. And nobody wanted to talk about the pension system. And everything ended up getting diverted as a kickback to the pension system. So now what you want to do is export this. Because did somebody on another level literally use people who had practical experience in the coal sector and or in coal energy and create some sort of other kind of component of a manner in which to target Appalachians, right? Because this is a part of Appalachian history that doesn't involve intercession with opiates. Is that something you don't want to admit? Do you not want to admit your good white stock that you got through drug addiction might have actually been a part of the actual first implementation of organized labor victory in the United States, even before there was any organizing for the CIO or the AFL? Right? Okay. Well, I mean, it's here. I've seen it before. It was important information. I hope whoever you are that you understand this was, very important for a lot of reasons. But, this is what it says. When you refuse to allow narcos to infiltrate the government and then try to use the process of consistently decreasing what they say your rate of return on their investment of your human capital is, you can actually be very successful in a short period of time, even with a few dedicated people, if you do it strategically. And my understanding is there was no violence. Nobody died. Nobody got shot. Nobody got raped. I don't think anybody got illegally coined either, did they? So I just want you to know, if you're disappointed, this was my hope. For the over 5 years, my hope was that it would just be that honest. That we're really that important, we're really that valuable, we're really that powerful. But when you guys start playing the dirty game, you're not workers anymore.